Spider-Man is arguably the most lucrative superhero property on the planet. For over 2 decades, putting Peter Parker on a movie poster has been a near-guaranteed license to print money. This bar chart illustrates the massive global box office returns for recent collaborative and animated Spider-Man features. At the top end, you have Spider-Man No Way Home generating $1.9 billion, while Across the Spider-Verse pulled in nearly $700 million. But if we look at the right side of this graph, the metrics completely collapse. At the exact same time those massive hits were in theaters, the studio that actually owns the rights to Spider-Man was releasing historic superhero disasters. Madame Web stumbled to a dismal 13% critic score on Rotten Tomatoes. It managed a disastrous $20 million opening over 6 days, buoyed by a fractured demographic of dads and young boys showing up for the lead actresses. Then came Kraven the Hunter, which fared even worse. That film tapped out at a meager $61 million worldwide, making it one of the lowest-grossing modern superhero movies entirely. So how does the same studio hold Hollywood's golden goose, yet consistently lay rotten eggs? To understand the split, we have to look at Sony Pictures. Decades ago, they purchased the film rights to Spider-Man, along with a catalog of 900 related secondary characters, giving them ultimate leverage over Marvel's most popular hero. By 2015, Sony struck a landmark deal with Disney. Marvel Studios could integrate Peter Parker into their cinematic universe, and Disney would keep all the merchandising revenue. In exchange, Sony retained complete ownership of the box office billions generated by the solo films. The agreement worked flawlessly. Tom Holland's iteration of the character brought massive critical acclaim and pushed the standalone movies well past the billion-dollar mark. But in 2019, that partnership fractured. Disney approached Sony with a new demand, a 50-50 co-financing split on all future Spider-Man profits. Sony rejected the offer and temporarily walked away from the negotiation table. They realized that taking 100% of an $800 million movie was more profitable than taking half of a billion-dollar one. Corporate margins took priority over creative continuity. Sony's solution was to build their own interconnected cinematic universe. They'd utilize their 900 secondary characters, keeping all profits in-house, but omitting the web-slinger himself. The strategy initially looked brilliant. Tom Hardy's standalone Venom film was a massive commercial hit, grossing $856 million globally without a single appearance from Peter Parker. This scatterplot maps the timeline of Sony's spin-offs against their revenues, showing a sharp decline for villains like Morbius and Madame Web. Simultaneously, critics eviscerated the films, and audiences were confused by a Spider-Man universe completely lacking Spider-Man. A cinematic architecture built entirely out of supporting antagonists lacks a structural foundation. Without the hero that gives these villains their purpose, the overarching narrative simply collapsed. Despite the theatrical bleeding, Sony cushions these financial blows through massive, guaranteed pay-one streaming deals. Licensing their theatrical slate to platforms like Netflix ensures the studio maintains a baseline of profitability, even when box office receipts fail. By late 2024, Sony initiated a major course correction. They paused development on further random live-action spin-offs and shifted focus back to their lucrative mainline collaboration with Marvel Studios. They also began moving their peripheral characters into alternative mediums where they could actually thrive. They doubled down on the critically acclaimed animated Spider-Verse franchise and transitioned properties like Spider-Noir into prestige live-action television series for Amazon MGM. The Sony Spider-Man universe proved a costly lesson for Hollywood. Legally owning the rights to an intellectual property doesn't automatically guarantee a successful cinematic franchise. Corporate profit strategies, no matter how carefully calculated, cannot outmaneuver the basic necessity of creative storytelling.